Hey gamers, Maniac here with GamingSense.net. Apologies for the poor lighting. I have very little opportunity to film during the day right now, so unfortunately you're going to have to deal with unnatural light. We got a new Tales from IT. This one I wanted to record quickly because this was a recent IT job that I really wanted to talk about, and there's a couple of things I specifically wanted to bring up based upon my experience doing this and basically to get this whole information out there. Basically, I had to fix a 2008 MacBook, just MacBook. It wasn't a MacBook Air, it wasn't a MacBook Pro. The labels all just simply said MacBook. I believe it was called the MacBook Aluminum, or that the current version of it is called the MacBook Aluminum. I've never seen a MacBook in configuration of this type before. Um, that's just me. Obviously, they made a whole bunch of different types of them. It's just this one was one that I had never worked with before. Essentially, what had happened was it got a virus. Yes, Macs can get viruses, especially if you let the virus operate. It's like, hi, you want to make sure you do this? It's like, yes, I want to install this. It's like, hi, do you want to install this? Yes, I want to. Just be aware you're taking down all the system defenses. Yes, let this through. And bye bye everything. So I had a client who did that, and they not only lost everything, they basically, yeah, basically it meant total system data loss. It would not have been a total system data loss if they had backups, but they didn't. And the virus pretty much took care of the rest. So I said to him, so finally I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to reset this thing back to factory settings at the very least. That's going to involve me reinstalling Mac operating system. That's going to involve me doing a couple of other things. I'll tell you what. Why do you say we just get you a larger hard drive? I still have to get the procedure regardless, whether you keep the current hard drive or whether you have to install another one. It's not going to take very long for me to install a new hard drive. I already know what types of hard drives I think will fit. Um, why don't I just we'll call this a better thing. I'll double or I'll triple the capacity of your computer while we're at it. It's not going to take that much longer, and I won't charge you any extra for it. You'll just have to buy the part out of pocket. And the client agreed. They thought that was actually a really good idea to get, increase the computer storage capacity once we got it back up and running. So we buy a new hard drive for the computer. I actually got a pretty good deal at it at Best Buy of all places, so go figure on that one. Best Buy had it on sale. So we get the part from Best Buy. I start taking the computer apart. I find out that the aluminum model iMac is actually very freaking easy to replace the hard drive on. Wow, I was shocked. But that 2008 model, I mean, it just had a little slot there with a little tab. You pull it up. The section of the bottom, only one portion of the bottom comes up, but the section of the bottom comes up. The hard drive is there. The battery's there. All it takes is a couple of screws, a couple of micro screws. You pull the brackets out. You loosen the brackets holding the drive in. Pop, exactly like it always was for pretty much any of the MacBook Pros that I've worked on. The only difference is that the MacBook Pros require at least 8 screws, 3 of which have to be specifically remembered where they go, just to get the bottom off. This was just a little lid. Simple. Why doesn't Apple do that anymore? I have no idea. Regardless, I replaced the drive, no problem. I boot the computer up and I get what I was expecting, that little question mark you get. Now, if you've ever booted up a Mac and you've never done anything to it, but if you've ever turned on your Mac and all of a sudden you see a blinking question mark where you should be seeing an Apple logo, you have a broken Mac. Now, after what I had done, I knew I was going to see that error. It also means you have a new Mac or a Mac that's just had a drive replaced. So finally, I was like, okay, this computer's ready for its data. I replaced the hard drive. It's definitely working. Where's your install media? Oh, hold on, I'll get it. 45 minutes later, the closest thing that they could produce to installation media for the computer was an iMac installation disk from like 2011, 2010 or so, which they were even surprised they had because they never owned an iMac before, so go figure on that one. Anyways, long story short, we had no installation media. And this computer was made in 2008, about 2 or 3 years, give or take, before Apple had an option for internet booting operating system installations. I tried. I tried every command that was available on the Mac profile to try to get an internet boot on this thing, but it was not compatible. The computer was just too old. The commands were not there. So I had a MacBook with no installation media, with a hard drive that had no backups, on a blank, unpartitioned, unformatted, unallocated drive. Yeah, options were kind of scarce at that point. I had no spare MacBooks. I don't own a MacBook. I had no spare MacBooks or Mac systems, so I couldn't. I have seen some tools online basically that allow for scripting and things like that, where you can create bootable USB drives using Mac OS installation partitions that you can get from the App Store. But you need you need a Mac that has up to date information, and even then, it's a headache because I later found out that this computer was specifically cut off and was not compatible with the recent version of Mac OS. So it would have been a big headache. So what do you do at this point? Well, you call Apple. There are only 2 Apple stores in my state. It's a big state. I have no idea why there's only 2 of them. Apple's pretty popular, so go figure on that one. But there are only 2 Apple stores in my state, at least as of the time of this video being recorded. Actually, there used to be 0, so 2 is a lot. Anyways, so I try to call Apple, one of my Apple stores, to see if maybe they might have installation media, whether I could purchase it or get it. They immediately forward me to Apple's central hub of calling center, because they say, well, if you got us, that means that store is probably busy. I could believe that if you only have 2 in the whole state, you're probably swamped. It's a couple million people live in this state, and you only got 2 stores. Anyways, so fast forward, I decide, all right, let's see if I can get, what can I do? What are my options, basically? What are my clients' options? I have no installation media. My client's willing to pay for installation media, but even the Apple tech support people told me over the phone, we don't have that stuff archived anymore. We can't just ship that to you. Those computers are nearly 10 years old, which they were. So I was like, what are my options? They said, look, right now your best option is to simply make an appointment with the Apple Genius. Like, okay, when's the next time I can make an appointment with an Apple Genius? I've never done that before. I'm usually the Apple Genius. And if you see my previous videos, you know that I've done a lot of things and I've done a lot of procedures that not even Apple Geniuses have done. Or could confirm that they had, or could confirm based upon personal experience. So they said, okay. I had to wait 2 days. So I had to tell my client, there's nothing I can do. I have to wait 2 days. I have to send this off. Maybe they can fix it. So my client said, okay. I kept the computer that I collected dust for like 2 days. And then I took it up to the Apple store to see if they could fix it. As I try to get into the Apple store, I realized why they were so busy. This was 2 days after I made my call. This was the middle of the day. This was not the evening. This was not the afternoon. People usually work or go to school. This store was full. This store was completely full of people. And it's not like it was because there weren't people working there. Apple people, people dressed up as geniuses, people were all over there were just as many people that were working that were in the store. The store was full of people. You couldn't even get to the back of the store. There were so many people. So I try to go up to the closest guy I got, the greeter, whatever you want to call him. Nice guy. I say, look, I've got an appointment with the geniuses. Where do I go? Guy was nice, pointed me to another genius. The genius gave me a spot to sit down in. I'm like, great. I came 10 minutes early to my appointment. So I figure, okay, I'll wait 10 minutes. My appointment should start. I'll have a person come over. 10 minutes later, a non-genius came over, just asked me what the problem was. Okay. So I told him, I've got no installation media. I've got a blank computer. Can you get me an installation media? And they said, I don't know. But we're going to forward this to the genius when the genius finally does come over. Okay. Guessing they were a salesperson. All right, so about 10 to 20 minutes later, I can't remember how long it took, but it was certainly over 10 minutes, a genius finally does come. And they're a nice person. They're a knowledgeable person. They know everything I'm talking about, and I know everything or at the very least, I can figure out what they're talking about. And I explain the issue. I say, look, I've got no installation media. The computer's blank. It's not partitioned. A virus took it out. The hardware should be fine. And it would just replace the hard drive. They did warn me about backups. Like everything is like backup this, backup that. I said, look, the backups are off-site. Meaning I had kept the old drive. Even though it had a virus, I still kept it. Consider the backups off-site. And they said, fine, we accept that. And by the way, you should back up your stuff on a regular basis if you're an Apple user. I don't care if you're using an iPhone, an iPad, a backup drive, or iCloud. Back up your data, preferably off-site. Back it up, disconnect it, back it up next week. Plug it back in next week to back it up again. If she had had even a single backup, I could have restored from that. No kidding. So I explained what had happened. And I thought, do you guys have a disk or something? It's like, no, don't even worry about it. So she plugs in the thing. She has a couple of bits of hardware. She plugs it in directly to their network. She starts feeding commands into the computer. Commands that I've never seen before. They're not on a single Apple technical manual that's available to end users. She starts typing in key commands as she's booting. Commands I've never seen before. After about 3 or 4 attempts, my guess is it's like they're different key commands based on what year they were made. That's fine. That happens. She finds the right command, and all of a sudden it interfaces a network boot. I didn't even know this model could do that. Again, it's not documented. Or if it is, it's not documented in documents that are provided to the user. So she gets the network boot. I'm guessing they had local servers that basically she didn't give me disk media. That probably would have taken too long anyway. The Apple servers that were in the back of the store that we couldn't see probably had partitions in them or disk images in them for each individual Mac version of Mac OS that they could have, even the legacy ones. So she's like, look, this thing is running 10.6 or normally runs 10.6. I can get it up to 10.11. I can't install High Sierra on it. Max is out at 10.11. I can put 10.11 on it right now. Do it, I said. Saves me some time. Boom, she pushes a command. 10.11 image starts going on through the system. Computer verifies it. Computer uncompresses it. And not even 10 to 15 minutes later, the system gives me the automatic, hi, I'm a Mac. What language do you want screen? It was working. Fantastic. Didn't even take 10 minutes of actual work. Fantastic. Why aren't end users available to do that? Why? I don't know. It would be nice if I could actually store on site those kind of images. Again, maybe that's because I did do a little bit of research about net booting. Apparently, that is a thing. It does require power line stuff, power command stuff. There is a couple of bits of documentation that's available online, but none of it was written by Apple. Most of it was written by people that have been experimenting with this kind of stuff. That's a shame, I think, but go figure. So, needless to say, I tell her, can you just shut this thing down so I can bring it back to the user so that she can fill this stuff out? And she said, yeah. Shut it off. She said, this will resume exactly where it left off, so don't worry about it. When it reboots, you'll just get the prompt screen again. I'm like, perfect. Fantastic. Didn't charge me a dime. Props to Apple for that. Didn't charge a dime, not one. I go on my merry way. Computer's fine. Back to factory defaults. 10.11 is on there. So what did I learn from this, dealing with the Apple geniuses? First off, not everybody that works at Apple is a genius. That's not an insult. That's not an insult. I meant title. I think that what's going on in the Apple stores is that they have certain people that are salespeople and certain people that are the technical people. From what I could tell, it was about 50-50. But if you ask me, I think that most people should be technical people, or the majority should have been, maybe 75% should have been the actual technical people. I know Apple would probably disagree with that because it takes longer to train technical people, but I don't care. There's so few. This documentation is so hard to come by, especially with the newer stuff. The ability to fix these apples, especially even the older ones. I have to go to David Murray's YouTube channel every freaking week to find some of this stuff. And this, ironically enough, was like the one Apple MacBook that David Murray has not talked about yet. So I was basically breaking new ground here. No insult to David, of course. I love your videos. But still, this was a Mac that he had not shown or showcased. So What could be improved? I have 2 bits of information for Apple. Apple's welcome to introduce both of them. In fact, I encourage it, and they don't even have to credit me. 1, open more stores. Your demand is far too high. Open more stores. The fact that there are only 2 stores in my entire state is disgraceful. If there were more stores, you could hire more people, and these places wouldn't, and the individual people that are working there, I could tell how overworked these Apple salespeople were. I could tell it in their eyes. They were nice to me. These were knowledgeable people, but they were completely overworked, because if you have a problem, you have to go to Apple. There's no other way. If Apple was to make that software available on their website, heck, it's legacy software anyway. It's been obsolete for like 5 to 6 years. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to. Linux does. Microsoft does. They offer that software. You need your license key, but Apple can do a hardware check. I don't care about that. There's no excuse. Why isn't that software available? Disk images should be available on their website for free download. They do it for everything else. It's done for the iPhone. It's done for the Apple TV. I don't know why they don't do it for the MacBook, especially for older ones that need it. I think they do it for the newer ones, or the newer ones net boot, so it's not necessary. So yeah, open more stores, or at least make your media available online, Apple. That's all I'm asking for. Until next time, guys, my name is Maniac with GamingSuccess.net. Take care. Over and out.